How's it going, YouTube? In this video, we are continuing the Tempest card review. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, give me a like, give me a sub. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bit of card reviews, Tempest. Here we got Spring Cleaning, a Swordcraft, 1 play point amulet, countdown 3. At the end of your turn, randomly discard one of the highest cost cards in your hand, then you draw a card. So my first thought is, this card is weird. So usually the disco is for Dragon, right? Where they discard the lowest cost card and then like you get a positive effect, right? So this is like the opposite of that. You're discarding your high cost cards. Now my first impression is this card is bad, right? Because even if you're playing aggro sword, you still want to play your Alberts, your Alwidas, those type of cards that cost a lot that would be discarded by this. And that would be super bad, right? Obviously you do not want to discard those cards that end the game. So initially, I just think that's bad, right? You don't want to do it at all. Now, talking to some people in the Discord and stuff, they were throwing around the idea that you can make a deck that is so incredibly low cost that essentially, if you don't discard a card, you would still draw a card. And then it would be good, right? But a deck like that, you need to play like nothing but 1-drops, I guess. And would that even be good there? I mean, I don't know. I don't like this card. If it was this card, your lowest cost card, that would be solid, right? Because I still think Sword needs like some nice card draw. But obviously they don't want to give those discard the lowest cost to like every class, since that's like Dragon's identity in the disco department at least. So I don't like this card. I don't like it. Alright, next we got Sword Legendary, Gawain of the Round Table, a 4 play point 3/4. Whenever this follows attacks, subtract 1 from the cost of all commanders in your hand. And hand 6, gain +1/+1 on rush. And in the Evo is the same effect. So, off the bat, from a stats perspective, he has pretty solid stats, right? 4 play bonus of 3/4. Now, he does not have any Evo effects, so he does gain +2/+2 on Evo. So, when he attacks, your commanders in your hand cost 1 less. Now, cost reduction is, in card games in general, like a strong effect to have. Now the question is like, what do you really get out of this guy? Because the main thing that you would want to cost reduce, that I can think of right now, is like Albert. And if you cost reduce Albert, you wouldn't get the enhance because he would always be enhanced 9. So you have Albert in your hand, you attack with this guy, Albert costs 4. But if you're going to attack twice, you still got to pay 9. So that's not that great. Now a 4 cost Albert as a 3/5 is not bad by any means. And you could also make things like Front Guard General cost less. Maybe like you could do this guy on 4, auto aim on 5, and that's a pretty solid curve if anything, right? The question here is like, are you playing this guy over Floral Fencer or Amelia? And maybe if your deck really wants to get a turn 5 auto aim, you would, right? I guess that makes sense. But I don't think it's insane or anything like that. The enhance is not bad either. It means you can play him on 6 as a 4/5 rush, and you save your Evo, and you still get the effect, which is probably at least somewhat relevant, right? You could reduce Banner, yeah, but like, don't really see Banner being played at all, right? And all Banner must do is go face anyway, right? This guy's not go face. So I'm not sure about that. Now, I don't think it's a horrible card by any means, but I don't think it's too great either. So I see you could play this in a deck that your goal is to play auto aim on 5, then you would play this. Is that good enough to be a deck? It might be, but I'm not crazy excited about this. Like, the reduction is strong, like I say, and it could happen more than one time if he survives, but it's very unlikely, right? Like, in this turns, everyone's going back and forth. It's very likely he just dies. Seems okay, not great, not horrible. It'll be interesting to see if that deck becomes a thing, because that would be cool, right? But it's like whatever, not too exciting, I don't think. Like, auto aim on 5 is good, and then you can stage commander on 6, yeah. That's like the dream curve, which is pretty good, right? Now, people do have the 2 damage AoE these days, but just because those 2 damage AoE exist, doesn't mean that auto aim is a bad card, right? Especially if you play on 5 instead. So, like, you would play mate on 2, so you guarantee you have your officer commander. Something on 3, this guy on 4, auto aim on 5, commander on stage commander on 6. It's not bad. If it was Clash, it might be way too good. Like, cost reduction is really, it's an effect that I have to be really careful with, so, I don't know. Yeah, in the future, as they come up with more commanders, this guy technically only gets better, and he's not, like, unplayable right now or anything, right? Anyway, next we got Imperial, or Impartial, Strix. A 4 play point 3/3 fanfare game +2/+2 if you have at least 20 neutral cards in your deck. I like this guy, and I like this guy a lot. First of all, let's get the memes out of the way. If you get the fanfare and you evil him, it's a 4 mana 7/7. You know, get your chuckles out of the way. But aside from that, if you guys have, you know, kept up with me, you guys know I absolutely love the neutral craft deck. I played a lot of neutral crafts since Bomb came out. For a while, it was like my most played deck, and I liked it a lot. And it was already pretty solid. As we get more neutral minions, like that deck gets better, right? And as we get more support for it, it's even better. Like, if you play this guy as a 4+5/5, in a neutral deck, you will always get the effect of, right? Ideally. Like, that is just a wall of stats. It's not like he has a crazy effect, but a wall of stats is not bad. I mean, okay, you can play him on 4 and he gets Dance With on 5. You know, that's fine, but it's a lot of stats early on, right? Like, you see a lot of people play Albert on 5 and they evil him, and he has 7 health on 5, and that's hard to answer, right? This guy could have 7 health on 4, which is even harder to answer and even more attack. Or at least he doesn't go face, right? But I think it's good. It's just solid, right? Like, it gives neutral more support. It makes me think that they're going to give neutral even more support in the future. So I like this card. I'm excited for what it means. I like the art as well, right? It's pretty sick. It's like an owl, but like he's like, I don't know. It's just cool. I like it. I like this card a lot. The only drawback is that you need to have 20 neutral cards left in your deck. So, like, if you have 19 cards left in your deck, even if they're all neutral, you won't get the effect. I gotta believe that most games that won't be relevant, but I suppose it could maybe be. That's my only drawback against it. Otherwise, I really, really like the card. Next we got Enchanted Sword, a 7 play point Runecraft spell, silver. Give an allied follower +2/+2, and then if you spell boost, it costs 1 less. Just seeing at it like quickly, I don't particularly like it. I feel like there's better things that you're spell boosting. Like, would you rather give a minion +2 or just play a 3/4 Ogre for 0, right? Then you gotta spell boost less. Probably play the Ogre instead. It's a spell, so it does boost the rest of your hand. That's a plus in Ruin, technically, right? Would like a Dairy deck play this? I mean, they could if they're like really desperate for that last burn or something. It's not like unplayable, but like it seems kind of clunky to me as well, right? Because like the other cards, let's say you don't have Daria, you can still boost the Ogre once or twice, and you play him, and it's still a good card, right? If you boost this once or twice, you're paying 5 for a +2/+2, and that's bad. So I don't like it. I don't like it at all. The art is pretty cool, yeah, but I just don't really like it. Alright, next we got Belphegor. Now, this card is exciting. Now, let me be completely honest with you guys. When I first saw this card, I was like, not good, don't like it. Seems boring, right? It's like Soul Dealer, doesn't even have ward, think it's bad. But after taking some time to really evaluate it, talk to some people, I was talking to Soul, who apparently really likes this card. So, apparently, or not apparently, it draws 2 cards, which is good. Like, a draw 2 cards is a really good effect, right? You can compare this to, what is that card called? The Blood Pack, where you take 2 damage and you draw 2 cards. Now, that draws you 2 cards for 2 play points, deals 2 damage, and it costs you a card, right? So you really only +1. This card, you +2 because you don't use a card to draw cards, you get a minion. And it's a minion that's overstated. So that's pretty good. Like, if this card was a 4/4/4 draw 2, broken, right? Now, it puts you in vengeance, aka you're set at 10 life. And that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing, right? See, like, I don't know how to feel about that. The first part of this card I like a lot, right? 4/4 is good stats, draw 2 cards, insanely good. The question is, how good is being in vengeance? If you're playing a vengeance deck and that becomes a thing, then you want to be in vengeance, right? If you're playing a vengeance deck, and you would not play this in a not vengeance deck, right? If you're at 10, you die pretty easily. Like on turn 5, being at 10 is not where you want to be at. Especially if people are playing aggro decks, right? Like you will get killed. It's hard to be able to do 10 damage combos on like turn 5, but they also might have a board or something, and like they could kill you over like 2 turns or something. So that's not the best, right? But what do you really get out of Vengeance is my question. Like what do you really get out of Vengeance? There's Revelation, which is good. Obviously clears. That's good. Righteous Devil is good. You can trade and heal. That's probably like the best follow-up to this. You get like a Squall Lancer on 5 after this, and you will deal 2 damage something. Then Evo deal another 2 damage, and then trade into as a 5/6, and that's pretty good, right? Is that worth you playing a Vengeance deck? I don't think so though. But if Vengeance that becomes a thing, then they would play this card, obviously, right? It's better than Soul Dealer in that sense. Soul Dealer is like a little more defensive because he has Ward, but this like Soul Dealer only has 4 health anyway, like she does, and draw 2 cards is worth a lot. I don't think there's enough for you like really get out of Vengeance, right? Like Diabolic Drain is nice, Revelation is good. Those are like the main 2 play. You get other stuff that like does random Bane or like random Drain. It's just not like game winning, right? So although I don't really like it, to be honest, I think it has potential. If Vengeance Blood becomes a thing, which I would like it to become a thing, then they definitely would play this, and I do think it's better than Soul Dealer. It also does combo with Mary, but I believe it will not like insta kill or anything like that. It will just do like however much damage until you get to 10, right? So I don't think it's like a crazy Mary combo. The draw 2 cards is good. The stats are good. Vengeance could be good if you're playing a Vengeance deck, right? So I like the direction. At least it's more Vengeance support. And you gotta hope that one day Vengeance Blood will be like a thing, right? Like, draw 2 cards is really, really strong. I'm not sure if some people realize how strong drawing 2 cards is. It's really, really strong. And a 4/4 is pretty good on 4, right? It's above curve minion, so it's got some things going for it. Yeah, and if you play her in the late game, you can still play her, not take damage, and draw cards. While Direbond, you can't, because Direbond will kill you, right? So there is that. Alright, next we got Best Elf Butler, a 4-strat silver, 4 play point 2/5. He has Ward. Whenever you play a 4-slot follower that costs at least 6, subtract 3 from the cost of his card. So without ignoring the effect for now, how good is a 4 play point 2/5? It's not horrible. Like, it goes into a 4/7, which is not the worst. Like, there's 5 play point 2/6 with Ward. This is like 1 less health. So even if you don't get the reduction, it's not completely garbage, right? Now, it's not insane either. And you'd probably rather play a 4 minion that like gives you an evil, right? So it's not like it's crazy good or anything. But it's not complete garbage. If you get the reduction, let's say you get 1 reduction. It costs 1. And a 1 play point 2/5 is pretty good. Is this what Control Force wants though? Like, do you want to play a late game 1 play point 2/5 Ward? Maybe. Like, I feel like this is one of those cards where, like, it's not bad, but as there's more and more good cards, and you're trying to do very specific things, a card's slot in a deck is worth a lot. And is this card worth a slot in your deck? I don't know that it is. It also, like, you need to have this card in hand, and then play a 6-drop. So you're playing it on 7 for 1. You could play it before for 4, which is, again, not the worst, but not great either, so I don't know, man. I definitely want Control Force to be a thing. And this is kind of helping with that. But I don't know if this is worth the deck slot. That's my only issue with this. So I don't think it's garbage, but I don't really like it either. I'd like to see more Control Forest, though. And we've not seen the Forest legendaries yet. So I'm really still having a lot of hope for that. Maybe this guy will end up being played in that deck. It's possible, but I don't know. I feel like the other 4-drops are better. Next we got Exfighter, a 3 play point 2/3. Neutral minion, enhanced game plus 3. It's kind of a boring card, but not a bad card. It has premium stats for 3, 2/3. Not positive effect, obviously, it's just like a vanilla. And in the quote-unquote late game or mid game, you can play him as a 6 play point 5/6, which is, again, like solid stats, but no effect. And that's not bad. Would you play this in neutral crafts? Probably not, right? You definitely want like some sort of effect. At least like a healing angel, right? In Arena, though, it's not bad. Like, if you want to just curve out, you take it. Gives you a nice minion on 3, nice minion on 6. So, not bad Arena card. Don't really see this being played in Constructed, though. But not a horrible card. It is kind of boring, though, sadly. But I think it is more of a take-2 card. We're doing another set of the Tempest of the Gods card review. To start off, we have the Immortal Pain. or Thane. To start off, I gotta say the art is pretty cool, right? Looks pretty sweet. It's a gold, Shadow Gold 7.45. Favor summon 2 whites. If I'm not mistaken here, the white is the 2.21. That says when a minion dies, you do 1 damage to enemy leader. So off the bat, it's 4/5, and then you get 4/2 on top of that. So it's really like an 8/7 worth of stats around 3 bodies, which is pretty solid. Like that alone is pretty good, right? Then on top of that, he has last words. Put White King into your hand and change your cost to 0. Which is really, really good, right? Like, White King is not an insane card by any means. Like, you don't really see playing any Shadow deck. But, if you got it for free, any cost at 0, you definitely would play it. So, that seems pretty good. This card is like a lot of value packed in one card, and that's good. My only concern here is that the other Shadow 7 drops are like insane, right? Kiwi is like... I mean, you know, we talk about Kiwi all the time. He's insanely, absolutely, insanely good, right? And I don't think you would play this guy over Kiwi. Flies is also pretty good as well. Seen some play here and there. Not as much as back in the day, but you definitely still can play Flies, and it's not a bad card. So it has a lot of, like in the 7 slot, it competes with a lot of good cards. And as good as this card is, and I do think it's a good card, it's not winning the game, the fight against Kiwi. It could win the fight against Flies. Maybe you play Kiwi and this guy. If you want to play Control Shadow or Midrange Shadow, it seems like a good card. So I like it. It's just a lot of value packed into the one card. It does have last words, so you could play it with Nefties and get a White King to your hand. The problem is, again, that you really want the Kiwi effect out of your Nefties, so you wouldn't play it in Nefties deck, because Kiwi is way better. So, but in a deck that doesn't play Nefties, though, you could play Kiwi and this guy, and maybe that works. So I think it's a good card. It's a testament to how good Kiwi is, though, right? But I think it's a really good card. I think it's a good card. It's a lot of value in one card. So I like it. I think it's good. Alright, next we got Dragon's Nest. This is an interesting card. So it's a 1 Playpoint Amulet. And it says, at the start of your turn, restore 2 defense to your leader, draw a card, and destroy this amulet if overflow attacks for you. So what it means is that this card does not do anything if you don't have overflow. And once you get overflow at the start of your turn, you heal 2, draw a card. So it cycles itself. And you heal for 2. How good is that? The obvious comparison to this card is Ivory Dragon, right? People want to compare this to Ivory Dragon, which is a 1 Playpoint 1/2. If you're an overflow, draw a card. So Ivory Dragon fights the board early game, while this card does not, obviously. But if you play Ivory Dragon early on, you don't draw a card, right? And if you play Ivory Dragon in the late game, it costs you a Playpoint. Ideally, with this card, you can play it on turn 1, since you're not doing anything as Dragon. And then eventually, you'll draw a card and heal 2, which is not bad. Not bad at all. Is this worth playing in your Dragon deck, though? I'm not sure. I feel like any sort of, like, combo-y Dragon deck that wants to draw cards and do some sort of combo probably would play this card. But would, like, a standard Ram Dragon play this? I don't know if you have the room. It's not a bad card, though, but I don't know, man. Like, Combo Dragon would play this, yes. Any other Dragon deck, I don't know. But it's not a bad card. It's not bad at all. Next, we got Bloodcraft, Bronze, Frog Bat, 3 Playpoint 2/2. Okay, before we talk about the card, let me just say I absolutely love the art. I like this card a lot, art-wise. I think it's super cool, super sick. It looks cool as hell. I like this card. Now, in the effect, at the end of your turn, gain +1 attack. So, essentially, it's a 3 Playpoint 3/2. That if it survives, it gets 1 attack every turn. That's not horrible. In Take 2, you could take this and not feel bad. It's obviously not as good as like Vade or like Heal an Angel. So I don't think you would play this in any constructed deck. But the art is really cool. And in Take 2, it's like, okay, you take it. Seems not horrible. Terry Crews, how's it going, dude? So, I like the art a lot. It's not bad. You would not play as a constructed though. Like, you would not play as a constructed. But in Take 2, I think you can take it and not feel horrible. Okay, next we got Pure Healer, a Bronze Havencraft card. It's a 4 Playpoint 3/3. Fanfare, restore 2 defense to an ally. If you enhance 6, you restore 2 to all allies instead. So let's go over this standard without the enhance first. So a 4/3/3/3 is below stat minion, right? 4 player minions are 3/4s. And you heal 2, which is not horrible. But if you compare this to Heal an Angel, which is a 3 play 1 2 3 heal 2, well, I guess this one can heal minions, not just the face, which makes it better than that. Is that worth 1 health? Maybe. Like, I guess an Elena deck would play this. I don't see why they wouldn't, I guess. I don't know, like, in the 4 slot, like, it's gotta compete with stuff like Cudgel. And most heavy decks are playing things like Tribunal on top of that, so, I don't know. It doesn't seem horrible, though. If you do Enhance, you heal everything by 2 for 6. Which is not great, but not awful either. Like, these are the type of cards that, like, they're not insane cards. And they might have a spot in some decks, which are good, right? Because ideally, you want it so that every single card that gets announced is not broken, right? Because that is how power creep goes around, right? So, I don't think this card is insanely broken or anything like that. And you wouldn't auto-play this in every healing deck, and I think that's a good thing. From a design perspective, I think that's good. Would you play this in a deck where you need to heal? Maybe. It's not completely horrible, I don't think. In take 2, you'd probably take it and not feel bad about it. It's better than like Cannon S, right? So, I think it's like okay. It's not broken, not completely garbage either, so I like it. Not opposed to it. I mean, the fact you can heal like minions and like there's some relevance to that, right? The heal the face is not horrible either. I don't know. Would you play this over the other minions? I don't know, but it's not like complete garbage, I don't think. Okay, this card, now we got the intern stuff. We got the Word Wielder Ginger, a Rune Craft Legendary. Now, every class is getting 2 legendaries. This is the first for Rune. And it's a pretty cool one at that. So it's a 9 play 4/4. So stat-wise, it's pretty bad stats, right? But the effect is kind of crazy. So what is the effect? Fanfare. Change the cost of all followers in your hand to 0. Allied followers can attack the enemy leader. Allied followers and amulets, fanfares, effects that activate upon being played will not activate. And all these effects last until the end of the turn. So what this means is that you can play this card and then play a bunch of Bahamut's for 0 cost. Which is cool, kind of crazy, right? You can play Storm Minions, but they can't go face. Nothing can go face when this... So that's kind of weird, right? This is not like a you play this and you win the game type of card. At least not in that turn, right? I think this effect is really strong. And it's a unique effect. It's like an effect that like when I see this card, I don't instantly think of what deck this goes into, and I think that's a good thing. Because there might be a deck in the future that plays this, right? And like, it utilizes that effect to, you know, as a win condition, I guess. And I can't imagine what that is right now, because, like, on turn 9, you can play through a Bahamut, but then you get counter Bahamuted, and then your board gets clear. So, like, that's not that great, right? You can't Storm, you can't hit the face, so, and you don't get any effects. So it's not like you would get a Bahamut board clear, or anything like that either. Like, you wouldn't get the Daria effect, or Merlin, or anything like that. So, like, I mean, what deck was to play? I have no idea. But I think it's cool. Like, it's unique enough that, like, at some point, it's bound to see play at some point in something, right? And even if that deck is not a thing right now, or after Bahamut, in the future, it might become a deck, right? I like cards like this that, like, you just have options, right? Like, not everything needs to be, like, card A goes in deck A, and that's it, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this card doesn't have a fit deck that it goes into, and I think that's cool. It's a unique effect for sure. Alright, next we got Ariette, the Soothing Harpist, a neutral gold, 7 play 1/4/5. Fanfare, fully restore the defense of an allied follower that has attacked this turn, and then you give it the ability to attack 1 more time. So again, I like this card because it's a cool effect. Like, that's the effect that we don't have in the game, and that's what you want to see, right? Like, more unique effects that give more unique interactions. How good is this minion, though? Seems kind of weird, right? Like, for you to... It's first of all, it's a 7 drop that has mediocre stats, and there's a requirement for it to be good, right? You cannot drop this on your anti-war ornament, you can, but it wouldn't be good. So, off the bat, that's like a minus against the card, right? So, how good is it if you get the effect off? And what is the requirement? The requirement is in a minion... But a minion that has attacked as well. You can't even place on 7 with a 3 dropping at the effect, right? So, like, you have something on 6 that survives. On 7, you heal it. And it attacks again. And that's pretty sweet. I see this more as a take 2 card than anything, though. I don't see this being played too much in Constructed. Unless it's like a crazy combo that you can get. But, like, what would be so strong in turn 6 that the effect is relevant? Like Master of Canopies? You play 10-10 Master of Canopies on 6. It survives. and then you can heal it back to full life, and it attacks again. Because you can attack face twice, right? Let's say you can no-piece for 10-10, you train to something, it survives, you go face with it, then you heal and go face again, right? Is that enough to make that a deck or something? Probably not, but hey, that's an idea. I don't know, it's a cool effect though, and in Take 2 it's probably solid, right? Like in Take 2, minions are left alive all the time, because like, there's not that premium removal that control decks, or like constructed decks have, right? So in Take 2 is probably pretty solid. It is like, the condition makes it not that great though, as you can't get value out of dropping an empty board. But it's not a horrible card either, and like, it's one like the other card, like, I like that it has potential, and it could maybe see play at some point. Alright, next we got Sukuna, Braven Small, a Forestcraft Silver. It's a 2-play.2/2. Pretty cool. I like the art, it's sweet. So it's a 2-play.2/2, which is premium stats, right? Can't go wrong there. And the effect is, if you evo it, gain +2/+2 if at least 3 cards were played this turn. Now, this is kind of a unique situation, because unlike the other cards that got +2/+2, I mean, not +2/+2, the other cards that say if cards were played, you can already have this card on the board and still play the cards, if that makes sense, right? Well, you usually have to play like Fairy, Fairy, and then play the card in the effect. You can play this card, it survives, and then you go Fairy, 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 you evo this card and you get the effect, right? And the benefit is +2/+2 on stats, so it would evo into a 6/6, which is not bad. The problem is that it's pretty hard for you to play 3 cards, right? Like, playing 2 cards is like reasonable, I suppose. 3 makes it kind of weird though. And would you play this over Lily, Lisa, Fairy Whisperer? I don't think so. So I don't see this card being played in Constructed. Maybe in like a really aggressive Forestcraft deck. And even then, I don't know how you would play this. But I don't think it's a bad card either. And in Take 2, it's a 2-play.2/2, you take it. And in the rare chance that the effect is relevant, then you're just happy, right? It's unique though, so like a lot of cards we're seeing here, again, like, they're not completely broken, which is good, and they're not garbage either, right? Like, you don't want to see a new expansion, and a card is like a 2-play.2/2 that does nothing, right? Like, you know, comparing this to Hearthstone, they waste a lot of cards with like completely ass cards. And I don't think these cards are completely ass. I think they have, you know, some merit, some potential or something. At the same time, they're not OP either, so it's not like there's crazy power creep. And I think that's a good way to go about the game, right? It's a good way to keep the game healthy over time. Alright, next we got Luminous Mage, a 5-play.2/3 silver Swordcraft Commander. Fanfare Summoner, Luminous Knight. So if I'm not mistaken, a Luminous Knight is the Commander 2-drop. That's a 2/1. It evolves into a 3/2 and it gives all your followers +1 attack, right? So, off the bat, you get a 2/3 and a 2/1 for 5, which is not the worst. But this other line is really interesting. So, when you evo your commanders, you won't use your evo points. And I think that's a pretty strong effect. So, at the very least, you can evo Luminous Knight that you summon. And into a 3/2 that would buff this as well. And that's pretty good, right? Like, you're looking at a 5-play.3/3 and 3/3 or 3/2 rush. And that's pretty solid already. And on top of that, if for any reason this card ever survives, you could like play an Albert or an Or Commander and then evo it for free. And that's pretty good. Now, this does run into the issue like we were talking about the Shadow 7-drop, that Sword has so many good 5-drops already. You have Albert, of course, which you will play 3 of no matter what. You have Aurelia, you have Monica, you have Aemon Blader, you have Cyclone Blade. So Sword has a lot of good 5-drops already. Do you want to play this card over those cards? Maybe. I don't know. It seems good though. I do like this card. It seems pretty good. Like, even without it surviving, it's good. And if it survives, it's insane, right? In Take 2, this card is crazy, right? And in Constructed, it could see play for sure. Next, we got Zoey, Queen of Goldinia. It's a funny name. A Havencraft's Gold, 3-play.3/4. So, it's an above curve minion. 3-play.1 minions usually are 2/3s or 3/2s. It's a 3/4, which is better than that, right? So it has a drawback in its effect. And the drawback is, whenever this follower attacks, deal 2 damage to a random allied follower. Deal 2 damage to your leader instead if there's no other allied followers. Same thing with evil. So, it's a pretty big drawback. Because if you play this on 3, and you have a 2-drop, she'll attack and kill your 2-drop, and that's pretty ass. If you don't have a 2-drop or you trade with your 2-drop, then you take 2 damage to the leader, and that's acceptable, right? That's not the big drawback. I'm trying to figure out, like, what Haven deck was to play this. Like a really aggressive tempo Haven? It's like a big tempo play, right? But it also clears your dude, so that's not great. At first sight, I don't really like it, but I don't think it's horrible either. Like, it is an above curve minion, and that could be worth something. Like, if there was a minion that was a 3-play 1/3/4, deal damage to your leaders on Fanfare, and nothing else, you would play that. The thing is, this can hit your allied followers, and that's a pretty big drawback. Alright, next we got Naval Guard Simone, a Swordcraft officer, 2-play 1/2/2 bronze, no effect, enhance 6, gain +3/+3 on ward. So you're playing this guy's essentially vanilla 2/2/2, which is not the worst, right? He's an officer as well, so that's relevant. And if you play for 6, you get a 5/5 ward, which is not bad either, compared to like Ghostly Rider, which is a 6-play 1/5/5 ward. And that's not like bad either. But would you play this over your other 2 drops? Like, would you play this over Unicorn? Or what are 2 drops we're playing? Like Gelt, things like that? Would you play this in an aggressive sword deck? No, right? Would you play this in a control sword deck or a mid-range? Maybe, probably not, right? Like, is the officer tag and the enhance effect relevant enough for you to play this over the sword cards? And I don't think so. This is like one of the more boring cards, if anything. But we're seeing a lot of cards that are like decent early game minions, and then they enhance it to like decent mid game minions. And I don't hate that card design either, right? Because it's nice to have cards that, like in Arena, it's pretty good. Because you draft as a 2-drop, and on turn 2 it's good. And then in the late game, it's a 2-drop that's better. So like in Arena, this guy's pretty good. And like I said, I don't hate that game design. So like there is some point to this card. At the very worst, it's good in Take 2. And maybe it's just playing constructed, but I probably doubt it. Alright, next we got Grave, Desecration, a Shadowcraft Silver Amulet, 2 play points. At the end of your opponent's turn, use Necromancy for summon a zombie. So off the bat, what is cool about this card is that, correct me if I'm wrong here, but are there any other amulets that proc at the end of your opponent's turn? I don't think that there are, and that's a pretty cool mechanic, and I wonder if they're going to see more of that in the future. Essentially what that means is that your zombies will have Storm, aka they can attack right away, right? Now, how good is the actual amulet though? You're playing 4 for a zombie, which is not great. You're also playing 2 play points and a board space. I mean, you come with like Mint and get a zombie, but your Mint will die, so not really, right? Your Mint's not going to stay alive ever. Like in Take 2, you float a lot of shadows, and this might be decent, right? But even then, that's kind of weak. It's not really a turn 2 play. By the time you can get value out of it, like, I mean, I don't know, you get a zombie that can go face, so like, it's not the worst either, right? Like, that 2 damage is relevant. It's not irrelevant. It is a unique card, yeah. I don't know, like, in Take 2, it's probably not awful, as sometimes you just need that 2 damage to, like, end the game, and you float a lot of shadows. In Constructed, I don't really see a deck playing this, though.